Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Vivian. And Vivian's question is whether there is a stigma in the pagan community toward illness. And she says that she has encountered the idea that a person who is highly magical or spiritual should never experience illness or unexpected accidents. And my answer to this is that I have not noticed such a stigma in the pagan community. I am aware of it, however, in some branches of the Christian community where people seem to think that illness is caused by demons and a lack of proper spirituality. But within the pagan community, I have not seen this. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not there anywhere, but I have not seen it. And my personal point of view is that yes, maybe the person who is perfectly magically actualized might never encounter illness or accident, but how can we expect a human to be perfectly anything? Being human, we are human, and therefore imperfection is part of the deal. And so are things like illness and accidents. And I think no matter how learned or enlightened a person may be, this is still one of the features of life. And there are all kinds of different things that can cause it, ranging from energetic blockage to karma to circumstances, and in some cases even choice, although usually not at a conscious level. But I do not think that stigma should attach to it, and I would go so far as to say that in some cases it is even one of the tools that our soul uses to bring about important lessons in life, and also, of course, to leave life when our duties here are done. And I think that if we were to remove illness, that many things would become much more difficult. And if you look around the spiritual community, one of the things that you will see is that many people have come to it following serious illness. Because after all, it's one of those circumstances in which you most need spirituality, and therefore it's one of the circumstances in which people most often find it. So, would I attach any kind of stigma to it? Absolutely not. Would I think that the more magical you are, perhaps the more you could avoid it? Well, perhaps. But are we to expect that? Well, no, we expect people to be people. And being human, these are things that come with the territory. And again, I am aware of other points of view on this subject, and I mentioned a certain kind of radical Christian idea that illness comes from demons and horrible, whatever you would call it. And I really reject that point of view, at least in terms of the way that they express it. Is there an internal component? I would say absolutely, particularly in some cases. But is that under our control in a conscious way? Well, certainly not necessarily. And I think that even the most advanced magician cannot necessarily avoid illness, particularly if the soul has a need for it. But also, even if it's simply coming from a blockage or from circumstances, you can't always avoid it, and I don't think one can expect someone to. Now, having said that, do I believe that things like prayer and magic help illness? Absolutely. I wouldn't be doing a weekly prayer shrine if I didn't believe that, and I certainly have seen it. But do they always help? Well, again, not necessarily, because it depends on the person, their circumstances, and also even whether their soul has a reason for that illness, and sometimes it does. Sometimes there's nothing that can be done, sometimes there's all kinds of things that can be done. But there should never, in my opinion, be a stigma attached to it. If for no other reason, then again, sometimes the soul requires it for purposes for which we may have no understanding. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. Reverend Don, super omnibus of incantations and invocations for all occasions. Mary Ann Kay and I created this massive compendium of magic and artwork for you to use in any way that you would like. There are literally hundreds of spells and hundreds of illustrations, which can be mixed and matched and used in many different ways. Check it out now at witchghoulstore.com.